Blog Talk Radio. Today is Monday, July 2nd, 2018, and this is Boxology. I am Silver Ray Fox, your host. Happy July, people. Happy Monday. Happy Master Your Mindset Monday. Oh, yeah, that's what today is. And all I can say is yay. LOL, LOL, LOL. As y'all already know, that's not all I can say or have to say because do a lot of talking on these shows. We talk about some really great stuff, too. I think you agree. I get to talk to people from all walks of life who are doing some really pretty amazing things. And I love seeing the things that people are doing, the things that people are being. I get excited. I get charged up. I get excited about learning from them and about them and how they live and work and the impact they're making on others and in the world. It's powerful, and I am so glad that I get to be one of those who can share them with all of you. That puts me in a real happy place in life and work myself. And you know what else does? Bringing to you tips that I believe are life-changing, mind-enhancing, and intellectually inspiring. Yeah, which brings me to the question that's before us today, and that is, are you stuck in your mind? Are you stuck in your mind? In your mind. Is some of your thinking on lockdown? You know, or maybe you don't know, that your thought life can imprison you, and it will for real have you stuck in a place. Well, maybe, just maybe, you need to get free. This could be your Independence Day. What do you think? Well, we'll see. The superstar RRR TV host Cassandra McShepard joins me today, as per usual, for this edition of Master Your Mindset Monday. Free me, I'm stuck in my mind. Hey there, Cassandra. How you doing, sis?
Silver, I am free. I am free.
I hear you.
I say that because there have been times in my life, many of them, where I have felt stuck. But the path to freedom is in the mind. Now, if you don't know that, you don't know that. If you don't know that, then you are on a maddening loop of things gone wrong and who should have and who could have, but who didn't, and all in the mind. So, yes, I hear what you're saying, but no, I'm not. And when I do, because there are times when I move a lot slower than other times, I don't believe the stuff in my mind that's telling me that I am stuck, because I have that choice.
Well, you know what's interesting with all of that being said? We all are exposed to mental conditioning all the time. Everywhere we look and turn, we are. And the thing about it that, and where we're going with this, of course, is trying to work against those things that are not working for us. But there are things that condition us in ways that are good. I remember particularly sitting in a sociology class, and the professor asked what, it seemed like a simple question, but it was very profound. And he said, what do you think life would be like if you got on the freeway and nobody had ever told you about the laws that have to deal with driving, or that everybody should stay in their lane, or we should all be going in the same direction, and all of that? And it was really a profound thing for us to think about, and we really did ponder over that, because we've been conditioned that there's ways that we handle ourselves when we're out on those streets in our cars. And that was just one example he was using to show us there are very necessary life protocols that we take on. We assume we become, we do what is the norm in many circumstances. When we do adhere to those things like the law and, the different standards, designs of life, how money works, all those things, that's good, especially if we are, we're embracing it in the way that we should. But, of course, there are those conditions that happen to us that are bad and do work against us, and those things like are sometimes in a negative environment. Now, many people do break free now because they know they can. A lot more people are getting that. Being around negative people and perspectives, a lot more people are understanding. We don't have to be that because people say that or become that because that was a situation or whatever. But another thing is, acceptance in life or lack of it. Sometimes we're in situations where we grow up and, the whole love and acceptance thing isn't on our lives, and then we go out in life and every little knock that comes against us all feeds back into that whole thing. Things like money or lack of it or success or lack of it, those things also condition us as well. And so as we go through our conversation today, Cassandra, those are kind of some of the busters that we're going to go for. To help people bust out of thoughts about those things. And you very much described it when you said what you said just a few minutes ago. The good news is that we can easily and without any real effort, well, it does take some effort, we can decide to come out of that. We get so easily conditioned, without as I said before, we grow up in situations where we just expose to certain things on a daily basis that makes us prisoners of our thoughts, but we can come out of it. The thing is, what do we do? What is the thing to do? Well, I've already got a little bit of list of things. I don't know if we'll get to them, but we'll start with the first thing that I have is that you really have to want to. There's got to be some motivation. I think people who even listen to us, and I always state the disclaimer that we're not in the psychology field itself. We've been around the block a time or two about life, and we know some stuff, and so we share that readily with people, and we don't say anything that is meant to be a cliche or anything that's meant to be like, oh, you can just do that and just do that and it'll happen. We're not approaching it like that. We really have very heartfelt thoughts about people who are listening and wanting them to get the information that we're sharing in a way that really can be life-enhancing in so many ways because we've learned that it really, really works. That's the first thing I have. And I thought of a little story about a man who had he was actually living on a farm and was still using a horse-drawn buggy to get around. And some people who had come to assess his land for things that were going to be going on and, realized that, even with all the modern day ways to travel, this man was still using a horse-drawn buggy. And so because they did come to a really good deal, when those gentlemen got back to the city, they decided they were going to send him a brand new car. And so they did. They sent him a brand new, big, fancy Cadillac. Well, several months later, when they went back to visit him, they were very surprised to see that he had attached the horses to the front of the Cadillac instead of realizing that he had a new way that he could travel, but he wasn't interested in doing it that way. He wanted to ride in a fancy car with the horses pulling it. Well, that's probably an extreme case of being stuck in your mindset, but I think it really does say a lot about how we do become conditioned to certain things, and for some reason we feel some hindrances within ourselves to step out, make it easy for ourselves and more comfortable for ourselves, among other things that can happen when we do decide to free ourselves from something that may be holding us back or stuck in a place. So with all that being said, I know you've got a head full of things that you can say about it as well. So you take the platform.
Well, I want to say that, and back to your point about what we are not, licensed therapists and all of that. No, we are not. But the good news is information is free, and freeing yourself is freeing. It doesn't have you don't have to have a license to read, thank God. You don't have to have a license to think, thank goodness. And reading and informing yourself on different theories and different information and ways of doing and being and thinking is something that is absolutely free. It does, however, take what you said, and this is true and critical, is motivation. Is someone motivated to do something different? Because even if you strap horses to a Cadillac, it ain't going to go as fast as if you've done that pedal to the metal and drive in the strength and in the fastness that a vehicle is designed to drive. And so a story like that is appropriate as it would apply to any way that we do things or any way in which we think things are done or should be done, versus any new and exciting way to do it just because someone hasn't done it before. People say often about how talented I am and how I can do anything, and all of that is cute and not true. I do, however, not limit myself. If I think it must be going to happen. If I think it, I think I must be going to do it. If I think it and don't act on it, I at least know that I can. Sometimes I just ain't feeling it. But it's all in my thinking. And I don't know, so as I was listening to you speak, I don't know exactly how or when I began to, because it wasn't that I realized that I was free from what we call race consciousness or race thinking, and race consciousness and race thinking, the loop of society. It is the list of things that we are fed and that we accept without question, and the trails and the grooves that we get stuck into and traverse throughout lifetimes without ever questioning. Is there a better way? Is this true? Is this groove or this path broad enough for me? As people of color, we know clearly that the grooves and the paths that someone else set up for us were by no means broad enough for our grandeur. We know this. And for me, I think as a child, I just didn't believe nobody. I certainly didn't believe I couldn't do things, and people were always telling me what I couldn't do. And I certainly wanted more than what I imagined based on what I saw and what I heard people aspiring to. I thought, oh, no. There's got to be more. And so I spent my life looking under covers and questioning trees and asking why. And I say questioning trees because that's one of my favorite things. Nobody questions a tree. A tree is a tree, right? There's different varieties, and different trees grow in different places and climates, and different trees bear different fruits. Some do flowers, some don't do anything. They just grow. They offer shade, they don't, whatever. But is it really called a tree? How do we know? We didn't question that. So many things in life, we just said, okay, I'll work within this framework without question. Now, that might be broad and who really cares, but when someone says that because you are female, born of a certain age and stage and in a certain zip code or arena, you cannot do something, that definitely is worth the questioning.
For sure. And that's a biggie that people work with, all the time. You and I both know that in particular environments, depending on who you're talking to, if you were to present someone the opportunity to talk about what they aspire to do, dream about, the thing that would follow the explanation was, but I don't think I can, or I don't know
Mhm.
how I can make that happen, or
Mhm.
yeah, it's a great idea, but so
Mhm.
it's a biggie, and I so agree with you. And I don't know that I had a I guess kind of a mixed blessing kind of growing up. My family certainly did not have money, and I didn't grow up in the finest of homes. In fact, I grew up very, very challenged. But I went to a school that was much like a private school that had mixtures of races and extraordinary teachers that were of all races, and I had an extraordinary education, and so those people were very much responsible for me believing in myself and being able to know that there was something greater beyond what the at-home experience was like. So I'm one of those, too, that it took me my imagination to all kinds of levels. It took me a while to get my doing to match my imagination, but I knew inside myself that there was something out there and things that I could do. So I really do understand that. And that brings me to the second thing, and I know that we have to reflect on it a lot because we just did, but realizing that changing thoughts and patterns have to become an exercise and a routine and new conditioning. If you didn't happen to have or don't happen to have exposure to certain things, it really does mean that you have to do exactly what the Bible says. Be renewed. You have to change by the renewing of your mind. That's just very real. I wish there was something that we could say that was different than that, but that's really the essence of it. You have to do things that will influence how you want to be and how you see things. It takes a daily type of exercise. That's why they tell you to make the dream boards and write things down over and over, and repeat things to yourself and kinds of messages around, which I've done all of that to help myself stay very focused on who I am, who I'm becoming, who I'm seeing, who I'm being, all of that. And I would guess, Cassandra, you've probably done some similar things.
Oh goodness, yes. I'm reminded of one of my very favorite books. It's a very short read, and you've heard me talk about this book numerous times. It's called Key to Yourself by Venus Bloodworth. And one of the first, as the book, gets into, one of the first statements that stands out to me is that thoughts are things. And I remember when I came across this information, I didn't really understand that. I mean, if you don't know anything else in life, to know that was amazing. The next bit of information is that we are in control. We can learn how to think is probably a better way to do it, because without learning how to think, I mean, the mind is an amazing place, an amazing, fertile and creative place. But without being taught, teaching oneself, or without knowing that you can learn how to think, then the mind, which never sleeps and never stops, is constantly feeding you information based on, I go back to this again, race consciousness, or world thinking, or the cares and fears of your society, your parents, your household, your whatever, your experiences. And the powerful, beautiful, powerful thing about the mind is whatever you think is what you will experience. I am thinking of another little book now by Bruce L. Doyle III called Before You Think Another Thought. And it talks again about the power that our thinking has. It's understanding how your thoughts and beliefs create your life. That's huge. And what I love about both of these books is they're like itty-bitty books, very short reads. Fast readers could get them done in like an hour and a half or two or whatever. Though to read it is different than to embody it, to ponder and to behold, and to really use the principles, but both are saying the same thing. I don't care who you are, what you do have or don't have, your mind is working. You can harness your thoughts. You can challenge that stinking thinking or that thinking that tells you can't. It's only the reflections of the world that you accepted without question. You know, you say you talk about being renewed being renewed by the renewing of your mind, transformed by the renewing of your mind, is a beautiful invitation. And it says within that passage that it already foretells the outcome. Transformed from what you are, what you believe by the renewing of your mind means buy a vowel, somebody, get some information. It will transform you. It's
exactly
really powerful stuff.
And you know, you were reflecting on point 2, but you carried it over into point 3, which I'm just going to say something quickly and move on to the 4th one because, you know, this time always seems to fly by.
Yeah,
but what you just explained by even reading those short books is some of the things that you do to condition and transform your thinking on a continuous basis. So the next thing I had was guard your thought life. And what is it that you're taking in? What are you addicted to on a daily basis that you're taking in? Is it chaos, trash, gossip, negativity? Well, I love that you shared that example because it says to, again, our audiences that we're not just talking loud and saying nothing. It works if you work it. And guarding your thoughts really does mean you have to pay attention to your own addictions. You got to break those addictions. If you feed on things on a daily basis that are not mentally enhancing, then you can't anticipate more because those are going to be the things that reflect on all the other things you think you want to do and be. That's what's going to come up. That's going to be your challenge. So you've got to guard your thoughts and be bold enough to shut those things off and shut those things off from your daily way of doing things. You have to do that. And the other thing I have is that to be a listener and a watcher of things that matter. And if it doesn't matter or make sense, let it go. And that's another challenge to our being, because sometimes we're like, ooh, but I like that, and I like hearing about that, and I can't wait to tell somebody else about how bad they're doing or what happened with them that wasn't good. All of that stuff. Goodness gracious, so in the scheme of things, and I've said this before, in the decades of you and I knowing each other, I don't think we have ever had a gossipy conversation about anybody, and that's the real deal. We've never sat down to just start talking about people's business and what we think about it and what they should be doing, and oh my God, and that's never happened. And as the wise woman said, ain't nobody got time for that. That's truly, and that's truly how I feel about it. Who has time for that? It's just really a waste of valuable time to me. I won't mind listening to people's issues if I can help, if I can offer guidance, if I can offer coaching, if I can offer support. But just to be sitting there talking about somebody's business for the sake of doing that, it has no real value to me. It never has and it never will. And so we have to guard what it is we're doing with our heads in that regard.
There was a song in the Broadway play, The Wiz, back in the day with Stephanie Mills. And I don't remember anything else about it, but the line, "Don't nobody bring me no bad news."
No bad news. And I love that song.
Do you know that? And I think about that. I think about gossiping is so corrosive. It literally and really depletes your spirit. Focusing and dieting, consuming only negativity and bad news corrodes your spirit. And in the same way that we are talking about the transforming of oneself by the renewing of your mind, that's about getting some information. Again, the mind is so powerful that it will take anything you give it. Now, if you don't give it anything, it'll take what it can get. but it's always taking and looking to quantify, to define, and to re-display to you what it gets. So it's so important to be, as you say, bold enough to say hell no. There's another song in the I think it's is it The Wiz, or yeah, I think it's The Wiz also, the new Broadway play. There's another song called Hell No. You need to be bold enough to say no to the noise that doesn't feed you. Because whatever you eat, whatever you watch, whatever you listen to, conversations that you allow yourself to sink into are the things that you're going to repeat. When you open your mouth, that's what's going to come out, what you ate, what you talked about, what you saw, what you thought about. If you only look at madness, that's what your life's going to look like. But the good news is you can say, no, I will not, Silver. No. And there are times when someone's name might come up in a conversation that you and I are having, if it is to a point or to an end. But to just berate somebody because they don't know what I know, why would I do that? How that doesn't, my feel good doesn't come from your lack. My empowerment doesn't come from your loss. My empowerment comes from keeping my mind on my business, and I know that.
Absolutely. Well, I've got one more thing, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap after this, because you already said something in this regard about the control, and this last point is what we're always talking about. Become a master of your thought life. Take control, take control, take control. If you don't get it, just sit and ponder what we've just said. Listen to this show again, but take control. A Facebook friend shared something that I think really hits this nail on the head, and I'm going to read what she wrote on her post and what I said back to her. She wrote, "As I move through the pain of loss, I feel my spirit growing. It is a slow and arduous process, but I am trying my best to embrace a new reality and take with it the love, the beautiful memories, and the opportunity for greater wisdom and compassion." And that right there, people, is what happens. I said back to her that what she's talking about is a lifetime process. And when you master that, you will have mastered life itself. And so take heed to that, people, because that's really what it is. This isn't just you get this and, okay, I'm on my way. This is constant. This is something that you have to constantly work at doing. And so I'll ask you again, are you stuck inside your mind? If you are, my prayer today is that we've said something that will help you get free, because you'll be all the better for it. Your life will be different. You'll be different. Everything will be different. Cassandra, I want to thank you again for your participation in this show, because you really do bring a lot of light to these topics. And when that happens, you're bringing a lot of light to life for people. So I appreciate you, sis, for all that you are doing and being, particularly in regard to this show and our friendship. Thank you so much, and I'm going to look forward to chatting with you again. If you want more information on Cassandra, the information is on my page here, and I've got some things also on my Facebook page. CassandraMcShepard.com is easy. You can see her streaming live as one of the hosts of Real Milwaukee on Facebook, so I hope you will check her out. Again, Cassandra, thank you so much. And
always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Silver.
Definitely. And I want to thank you all for being here, too, because you are the reason that we do show up at all. I appreciate you so much. Please let your friends know on social media what we're doing here, because we really do believe that it matters. It makes a difference. So thank you again for listening, and please join me the next time. Until then, stay free, be good, be blessed, and be awesome.